Yes, so I can start now, I think. Yes. So,
yes, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Swati, for your warm words of welcome. You are as warm as you have always been. It's such a pleasure to meet you once again, virtually this time, because last year I was at the Bukaru in December, and that was during those good old days, the pre-COVID days. And at that time, I had something to do about my the book that came before this, which is The Lizard of Oz and Other Stories. So it's a lovely association. Thank you very much, Swati. Thank you very much, Venki. You're somewhere there. And thank you, Westland, my publishers, Westland Red Panda, for publishing my book and for all your support. And I especially want to thank you for making this session possible, for hosting this session. It is a great joy to be with Swati Roy. So, and all you children and maybe older people too, lots of invisible people I know are there. Thank you for logging in. Thank you for being here with me on this short journey that we are going on. It's a journey with animals, all right? So as I was telling you, the last time I met Swati was when it was to do with the lizard. Now it is to do with the crocodile. So I met Swati was when it was to do with the lizard. So what happened was now the croc. I can hear my voice.
It's echoing from somebody's computer. Please put your mics on mute. Please, I request you. Otherwise, we won't be able to start the session. All right. Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am. I think it's coming from Arid because that's the only person unmuted.
Who's that? Advik.
No, ma'am. Arid.
Arid.
Okay.
All right. He's heard it. I think.
There are 5 to 6 children who are unmuted.
No problem. No problem. They'll manage it. Let's just.
I'm sure they will be able to mute it very quickly. Yeah, because I don't want to hear my own voice again. Bad enough speaking, and finding it echoing also. So now I have come to the crocodile. Same family, right? Lizard, crocodile, only the crocodile is a much, much bigger creature. So the story that I have written about the crocodile is the title story, The Crocodile Who Ate Butter Chicken for Breakfast and Other Stories, right? The crocodile who ate butter chicken for breakfast and other stories. Now, this crocodile is a very greedy crocodile, okay? But before we come to the crocodile proper and the story, I would like to tell you about what lies between these pages, all right? There are 20 stories. 20 stories, right? 20 is a nice, neat number, and almost 200 pages, because I cannot tell you it's 200. If I have to be really accurate, it is 189 pages, which is very close to 200.
Ma'am, I have one.
So 20 stories and almost 200 pages. All the stories are about animals, all right? So I hope you are here because 3 things. 1, because you love reading. 2, because you love animals. Even if you hate animals, don't tell me that now, okay? And because you love fun. You want to laugh. You want to read for fun, because that is the best way in which we can de-stress ourselves. And I think now, especially during these times, we really need to laugh a little, because there's hardly anything much to laugh at.
Ma'am.
So that is how it is. And so there are 20 animal stories, and each story is about one animal. So you'll probably think 20 animal stories and each story about one animal. Therefore, there will be 20 animals. Well, each story is about an animal, but what happens is there are 20 animals, but there are 2 stories about dogs. There are 2 stories about rats. Don't think I love rats. It just so happened that there are 2 stories about rats, 2 about dogs. And how does it become 20? It's because there are two other animals in the zebra story. And therefore, well, I'm not going to complicate things further. Let me just tell you that there are 20 and more animals in this collection. Okay, so here I'll tell you what the animals are, and then I'll go to the crocodile, then I will go to a little creature, then I'll come back to a big creature, then I'll come to a medium-sized creature. All right, I have all kinds of creatures, and of course, you don't forget one creature, which is that creature, that animal, us. All right, the human being. So these 10 stories, what I have done is 10 stories, of these 20 stories, 10 stories are anthropomorphic. I don't know whether you have heard that word, anthropomorphic. It sounds like as impressive as a crocodile, right? Anthropomorphic, it means giving human attributes to animals, making animals talk, making animals behave like humans, talk and interact like humans. So 10 stories are from the point of view of animals. The others are normal stories. I don't mean the others are abnormal, but they are all from, third person point of view. So coming to the crocodile. Now this crocodile, the hero of the story, is a boy whose
कुछ
name is
नहीं
Arun. And
हाँ
Arun,
पापा आपने बोला शट डाउन
Arun, I know that all of you want to, not all of you, many of us like the idea of having pets. And pets for us will generally be a dog or a cat, or some more ambitious ones may want a squirrel, you may want a rat. But have you ever heard of anyone who wants a crocodile as a pet? So here is this boy, Arun, 14 years old, who wants a crocodile as a pet. But he does not tell his parents that, because his father will go, hit the roof if he were to say that he wants a crocodile. His mother would faint if he says he wants a crocodile. So he very wisely keeps quiet. Don't you know? Very often you should not tell certain things to your parents. So he keeps quiet. He does, but his friends know about it, and they give him a present. One day he opens a basket and he finds a cute little crocodile. Right? So that is how he gets a crocodile. And then begins major problems. What do you do with a crocodile? It's one thing wanting a crocodile very badly. It is another hiding it from your parents, looking after it, feeding it, and it will grow. And what will it do? So he is very worried. He does an internet search and so on, and he also has to provide its food. That's also difficult. Somehow he finds out that this crocodile likes butter chicken. Now here I have to tell you something, which is two friends of mine, both are non-Indians. One is an Australian, one is Canadian origin. Both of them asked me the same question. That is, they asked me, what would have happened to the crocodile's digestion if it had all that butter chicken? How would the crocodile be if it were eating all this butter? Now, I hadn't really thought about that. I thought, well, let me just find out, do some search and find out what is the association between a crocodile and butter and fat. And you know what I found out? All that I was able to find out was that crocodile fat is very good for human brains. Crocodile fat is very good for human brains, and apparently early humans used to eat crocodiles, and their the crocodile's fat was responsible for their brains developing. Do you know that? So that was the end of my research. All right, I stopped. And so that is what is happening to this crocodile who eats butter chicken. So the rest of the story is about how Arun manages to hide the crocodile when it is growing. How does he manage to get food for the crocodile? How does he keep this a big secret, right? He wants to keep it as a big secret from his parents. How is it possible? He's very smart. He told his mother has always been after him to keep his room clean. Doesn't your mother tell you that? Keep your room clean, keep it tidy, keep it, dust free. And he never used to bother But one day, he told his mother after getting the crocodile, you know, from today, I'm going to take care of my room. I'm going to see that my room is spick and span. I'm going to sweep the room. I'm going to swab the room. I'm going to keep my room clean. Ma, you don't have to even enter my room. Says, mother, she wonders, are you having fever? Do you have fever? Is there something wrong with you? You want to keep your room clean? He said, yes. So she says, okay, do it. And that is how he manages to hide the crocodile under his bed, and the crocodile grows, all right? So from one small basket, he goes to a bigger basket. Then he goes to a long box. After that, it's difficult, all right? So what do Arun and his friends plan to see that the crocodile is safe? I won't tell you the rest of it. You have to read and find out, okay? What happens to the crocodile? Does he remain in Arun's house? Does he keep eating butter chicken? Where does he finally land, and so on? All right, you have to read and find out. So that is the crocodile story, okay? I hope you like it. It's let me come to, I'll just tell you which are the animals that are there in my book, okay? Crocodile, turkey, kite, koala, monkey, deer, zebra, and in the zebra story, we have a lion and a leopard. So there are three big animals there. Fish, snail, dog, rat,
Excuse me,
tortoise,
ma'am.
flies, frog, squirrels, rabbits, hen. Okay, so these are the animals. So now that I told you something about the crocodile story, let me go to the story which deals with the smallest creature. What is that? I was wondering whether it should be a fly or a snail. So I settled for the fly. Do you love flies? How many of us will say, we love flies. We want flies around us. We love the idea of having flies on our dining table. I want to share my food with flies. No, we think flies are dangerous. We think flies carry diseases. We think flies should be destroyed, right? So here in my story, we have some flies. You know what their names are? Electric fly, misty fly, simply fly, classy fly. So these are all flies, and they find that humans, children, have certain special days. They have Children's Day, they have Teachers' Day. Teachers' Day is celebrating the birthday of Dr. Radhakrishnan. Children's Day celebrates the birthday of Jawaharlal Nehru. So they say, why do we have only Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays? Why don't we have a fly day? We must have a fly day. And then Classy Fly says, we should have a True Flies Day, a World True Flies Day, because she looks around and she sees a dragonfly and a butterfly hovering there. She says, we don't want pretenders here, because she's very jealous. You see, even flies are jealous. She's very jealous of those beautiful butterflies and dragonflies. So she says, it should be only us, house flies. We should have a World Fly Day. But you have to find a person who loves flies. Only his birthday can be celebrated. So these flies set out to find any human being who loves flies. But wherever they go, they find everyone hates flies. The moment they see the flies, they go for the fly swatter, or they go for something else, or they shoo them off. So they say, what is this? Nobody seems to like us. And what about the creatures? A lizard is eating flies. A cow is swishing them off its back. Says, even creatures, nobody loves us. Wow, nobody loves us. So they are so unhappy that nobody loves them, and they are determined to find at least one person who loves flies. So what do? What can flies do? Fly. So they fly fly, 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 and they find one person who loves flies. Why does he love flies? This is where I have great pleasure in stopping the story. You have to read and find out why this man loves flies. Is he crazy to love flies? Anyway, you will find the answer. So that is the story of the flies. So then I was thinking, I will just tell you a little bit about a rat story, right? A rat story. So here is a rat whose name is, the name of my story is Yankee Uncle, all right? Yankee Uncle. Yankee Uncle is the story of a rat who has come from America to India. How? In a suitcase. And he's a brown rat. Now, we have every house has its own rat population. So in the house to which this Yankee Uncle enters, there are black rats. So they look at him very suspiciously. Brown rat, brown rat, brown rats, they have heard are more aggressive. What will this rat do to us? So they ask, there is one small rat, Junior, they call him Junie, he's very bold. They tell him, you go and talk to him. Find out where he is from. What is he up to? Why did he come here? So Junior goes and asks, and he says, I have come from America. I'm a Yankee. And he says, what big teeth you have. He says, the better to eat you with. And he pounces on Junie. But Junie has not read the story of Little Red Riding Hood. So Junie just shows his big teeth and they become friends, right? Then everybody becomes friends and they call him Yankee Uncle. Yankee Uncle is the man, is the rat with a lot of ideas to help them. All right, so I'll just read out a little bit from Yankee Uncle so that you will understand what's happening, what's the problem. Yankee Uncle has ideas to put an end to any problem, because if there's any problem, he will say, we gotta do something. We gotta do something. So one night, Junie stepped out only to return almost immediately, looking very excited. Mom, Pop, he cried. The little rats had taken to calling their parents Mom and Pop after Yankee Uncle had once told them that was short for Mama and Papa in America. Yankee Uncle, there is some attractive food at the entrance to our hole. There's a green biscuit. Smells lovely too. I saw a few more here and there. I think the baby must have thrown them about. Today, we needn't look far for food. Let's have a feast. Stop, Yankee Uncle commanded sternly. Eat them, and that would be your last supper. Don't you know these green biscuits are poisonous? They are called rat cakes or rat biscuits. Yep. And they kill rats. What? Everyone was aghast. The smaller rats shivered in fear. Poisonous rat cakes had never entered their peaceful lives before. Don't touch them, advised the senior rats. I have a better idea, said Yankee Uncle. We gotta do something. Let's hide them under the big kitchen cupboard. Then the humans will think we have eaten them. If we leave them untouched, they will think of other plans to kill us. Brilliant, exclaimed the rats in chorus. They would never have thought of such an excellent idea. American brown rats were indeed brainy. All the rats got together and vigorously pushed the cakes to the kitchen cupboard. Yankee Uncle, who supervised the maneuver, now kicked a cake under the cupboard. Hide their cake, he ordered. The other rats giggled and imitated him. Hide their cake, they said, as they kicked the cakes out of sight. Do they get away with this? Are they killed? Do they outmaneuver the People in the house who are trying to get rid of the rats? Well, I don't know. You have to read to find out. All right. So that is the rat story. Then we have the story of Chip and Monk, right? Chip and Monk. Chip and Monk. Chipmunks you have heard of, right? Chip and Monk. These are two tiny squirrels, and they have been, because they're tiny, their father named them Chip and Monk, all right? And disappeared from their lives. He thought he has done enough for his children by giving them names. Your Chip, your Monk, bye-bye, and he left. So Chip and Monk, you know squirrels, right? They make a lot of noise. Haven't you? Do you have squirrels near your house? Yes, they make a lot of noise. Tiny squirrels, but from where the sound comes, we don't know. It goes screech, or screech, screech, screech all over. And one day they hear that Siddhant is the boy in the story, his father telling him, reading from the newspaper and saying, look at all the things foreign squirrels are doing. They have been collecting nuts. They have been, all several things that has made them enter the newspapers. Look at our squirrels, useless squirrels. What are they doing? Just making noise. And he shoos them away. So now Chip and Monk they decide, especially Chip, he says, we have to get into the newspapers. We must do something that will make us appear in newspapers. We must become famous. We must be in the newspapers. So they decide to do something. They start following a girl, they start following a lady, they start following a boy, hoping for adventures. And something happens. They really do make it to the newspapers. How they do that, you have to find out. So then there is this other story of, I can tell you the story about a cat, all right? The cat's name the cat's name was Napoleon. You've heard of Napoleon, haven't you? Napoleon, the great French ruler, French emperor. And one day, so that the cat was called Napoleon until one day they found that the cat is actually a female. The cat is going to have kitten. So immediately they changed the name of the cat to Sudeep is the name of the boy. He changes the name of the cat to Napoleon's wife's name, Josephine. So he is very happy that Josephine is there. Josephine is the one who listens to him when he is studying, when he's preparing, when he is reading aloud. He catches hold of this poor cat, makes her sit there and listen to all his lessons. One day, Josephine disappears. She's not to be found. So what does this boy do? Where is Josephine? I cannot find her. She's not to be seen. And he decides to look for her. He's in Delhi and it's winter. So he goes around, he pulls on his sweater, he rushes out of the house shouting, Josephine, Josephine, puss, where are you? He asked people on the road if they had seen his cat. And there was no one who hadn't seen a cat that morning. Everyone seems to have seen cats. Is yours a white and brown cat? Asked a lady. I saw a miserable, mangy, white and brown cat near my house. I think it must have been originally white, but dirt had left brown patches on it. She held her nose and continued, boys like you, who don't know how to take care of pets, shouldn't have them. What you need to do, now Sudeep didn't wait to hear what he needed to do. Stupid woman. His cat was the cleanest in the world. A scruffy boy said, of course I saw a cat, a big fat cat. A cat that couldn't even stand on her feet. She was that fat. Sudeep glared at him and turning away, bumped into an old man. Here, boy, can't you look where you're going? The man quavered in his shivering voice. Sorry, uncle, he mumbled. I'm looking for my cat. Cat? What kind of cat? Come on, describe it to me. I did see a cat on my way here. The old man took a long time to ask this, but because Sudeep thought he might provide a clue, he painstakingly gave him a detailed description. After listening to it, with constant interruptions, the man said, I'm sorry, boy. I think what I saw was a dog. So that was, Sudeep gets furious, wasting time to asking him questions when what he saw was a dog, and he runs away. And whether he finds the cat, we really do not know whether he will find his cat, where he's going to find it, what else is going to happen. You have to read and find out. So that is the story of the cat. All right. So there is another story of a turkey. That is Gobbling Gobbler. Gobbling Gobbler. That is the title of the story. It's a story of a turkey. Okay. Here is this boy, Alex, who has been reading quite a bit. And he found out that abroad, Christmas is celebrated with a turkey. So he says, the key to a great Christmas is turkey. We must have a turkey. His parents say nothing doing, no turkey. It's always chicken for us, and chicken it's going to be. So he said, no, from today we will have a turkey. But there are no turkeys around. And then his father says, there is a turkey. We have your aunt's farm where there is one turkey, an old turkey. All right, old turkey, Gobbler, his name is. Why not think of that? And this boy is Alex gets very upset. This Gobbler is like their pet. He doesn't want Gobbler to be on the table. When he asked for a turkey, he didn't expect anything like this. And he's haunted by thoughts of Gobbler. You know, what is going to happen to Gobbler? Will Gobbler be killed? So he has nightmares about Gobbler. And here is this lovely picture that Meenakshi has drawn of Gobbler, where he's having a nightmare. Meenakshi Iyer, she's the person, the illustrator, who has done these lovely illustrations in the book. Every story has one illustration. Look at this picture. You can see it, can't you? Yes. He's having a dream. He's dreaming. What is he dreaming of? It's not a dream, it's a nightmare. Gobbler wearing a Christmas cap is looking at him like that, meaning, are you going to kill me? Are you going to be responsible for my being on your table? And then he gets up with a cold sweat. Then he sleeps again. He sees more gobblers around him. And he decides to read a book. The book is about turkeys. He switches on the television. The screen is about turkeys. He said, why are these turkeys following me around? I'm haunted by turkeys.
Excuse me, ma'am.
So, do you think he will, Gobbler, anything will happen to Gobbler? Or do you think Gobbler will escape? Will Alex have turkey for dinner? What's going to happen? You have to read and find out. The other stories are, I'll just quickly tell you about them, because then after that we will have questions. I hope you are enjoying the stories. You like the stories that I have been telling you about. There is the story called...
Can you tell about the three big animals, zebra, lion, and the
zebra, lion? Yes, there are big animals also. That is in a story called Zebra Crossing. The story called Zebra Crossing. In that story, I have big animals, all right? Zebra Crossing is a story that is set in Zimbabwe, the country that is Zimbabwe, where they have a jungle which allows all animals to be free and not attack one another. All right. But one day, a lion has attacked, I'm sorry, a leopard has attacked and eaten a zebra. Okay. And there is a huge lot of confusion. How can that happen in our jungle? Our jungle is live free. How could that happen? So a zebra's close friend is leopard. And they all get together and there is a lot of confusion. They find the lion standing there, they find the elephant there. So I have in this story got big animals. How are they going to solve the problem? Why is the story called Zebra Crossing? That's because of the English classes that you have to read and find out. I don't have time to tell you that. There is the story Absent-Minded Professor, all right? Absent-Minded Professor. Absent-Minded Professor is the story where there is a monkey. You love monkeys, don't you? I'm sure you like, yes, you like monkeys. We are so much like monkeys, aren't we? That's why we like them so much. And here you have this Absent-Minded Professor is a story of a professor who is always hunting for his glasses. He's absent-minded. Absent-minded means, you are so bothered about other things, you forget normal everyday things. Have I had my breakfast? Where is my pen? Did I have my bath? They are not sure of all these because their heads are full of big ideas and information. See, I have an absent-minded professor in my house, and maybe I myself am absent-minded, and we have a lot of people. Every house will have someone who is always looking for glasses. So here is this absent-minded professor forever looking for glasses. Where are my glasses? And his daughter will tell him, they are on your nose. So, oh, really? They are on my nose. Where are my glasses? His glasses are in his hand. And then we have to point out it is there. So all the time, people are looking for his glasses. And finally, one day, when the story begins, he is gone to Bangalore to present a paper, very important meeting. He has to present this paper, okay? And everybody else in the house goes sightseeing. He sits at home, preparing. And when they come back in the evening, what do they find? The whole house upside down, things strewn all over. And this professor walking up and down, where are my glasses? Lifting something, looking here, looking there. I can't find my glasses. Where are my glasses? And his wife asks him the question she asks all the time. And what is that? Why don't you have another pair of glasses? And he says, then you will have to look for two pairs of glasses. Yes, it's better to look only for one pair. And so that is what is happening. And his daughter says, here, did you keep the window open in Bangalore? Monkeys can come in through the window. He says, no, monkeys? I love monkeys. Where are the monkeys? He says, no. Did you keep the window open? He said, no, I did not do it. But his daughter opens the window to see if there is anything, and the glasses are on the window ledge. She forgets to close the window. Then she goes to the kitchen. She even looks into the inside the fridge to see if the glasses are there. She opens all the cupboards. She looks here, there, and then she goes into another room. Everybody is searching for the glasses. And they hear a huge sound coming from the kitchen. They all run to the kitchen. What do they find there? A big monkey standing there with his hand on the fridge and looking at them. Monkey! So one person is happy to see the monkey, another person screams and jumps on top of the table. So everyone, there's a lot of noise and confusion. The monkey opens the fridge, takes eggs and starts throwing at them, right? And they try to catch the eggs. The eggs are followed by oranges, right? So things keep falling. And then when everyone is wondering what to do, the monkey does something and runs away. I won't tell you what it does. right? I won't spoil the suspense for you. I won't tell you what it does. It does something that helps the professor find his glasses, okay? So you will have to read and find out. So that's the story of the absent-minded professor. Then there is the story of snails, all right? So here, and there's a story of deer. Oh deer is a story of a school for antler animals, a school for deer, all right? And there are 4 fawns. They don't want to go to school. Very common, isn't it? You always saying, oh, Monday is Monday. Who wants to go to school? Now what has happened? You don't have to go to school, right? You're sitting at home and doing your lessons. So here are these fawns who don't want to go to school. And something happens which makes them decide that it is better to go to school after all. But there is a story about snails, all right? The snails. When literature returned to Spear's Academy, long title, there in the snail story, snails like to go to school, all right? Strange creatures, right? Snails, they like to go to school, and their school's name is Shakespeare's Academy. Shakespeare's Academy. And there is this erudite snail, prodigy snail. These are all the ones who are teaching them. Then one day they learn something that makes them very angry with Shakespeare. They hear that Shakespeare did not like snails. Shakespeare is saying bad things about snails. They get very angry. How dare Shakespeare do that? Our school is named after Shakespeare, and Shakespeare doesn't seem to like us. No, we don't. We should change the name of the school. So what do? They cut off Shake from Shakespeare, the E from the end, and call the school Spear's Academy and say, no more learning or studying literature in the school. We will learn only functional English and communicative English. And after some time, they learn in some way that they had made a big mistake, all right? So what happens? You will have to read and find out. So that's a story about the snail. The story about the tortoises. There are tortoises, there are rabbits. The names of the rabbits are Ajanta and Ellora. The name of the tortoise, that is, the tortoise comes in this story that is titled The Green-Eyed Monster. The tortoise is a star tortoise. He's just come to the Mysore Zoo and very happy because and therefore he has been he was expecting everybody to want to come and see him. Everyone he felt who comes to Mysore Zoo would come to see Sitara, the star tortoise. Nobody comes to see him. Everyone is going to the next enclosure. So why? What's happening? What is happening there? And he slowly, he crawls as fast as a tortoise can go. He goes, and what does he see? 2 old tortoises, all right? And he hears people saying, oh, Myrtle and Turtle, such a lovely pair. What lovely lovebirds. Your story beats Romeo and Juliet's love story. You are wonderful. Myrtle and Turtle are 70-year-old tortoises who have been together and inseparable. Everyone has heard about them. They are coming to see them. Sitara gets very jealous. The green-eyed monster jealousy bites him, and he does something to separate them. But he also lands in trouble. How does that happen? You have to read to find out, all right? So that is about the tortoises, the flies, the deer, the zebra, the fish, cat, dog. The dog story is where there is a tsunami happening. And a dog is going to
Ma'am.
rescue people. And then we have the frog. Frog is in a story within a story, The Tap and the Frog, where there is a lady who is telling stories to her twins. She's got twins, Bina and Mina. These twins, they love to watch television. They don't like to read. So their teacher has been telling Sucheta, the mother, your children are not reading. They should learn to read. They're 7 years old. They have to read books. They are returning books from the library. Imagine, Bukaru, you're returning books from the library. Horrifying thought, terrible. So this lady who loves books, she thinks, okay, I will tell them stories. If they listen to stories and like stories and enjoy stories, next step will be reading stories. That is how it works. So she sets to work her plan. The first part is successful. They love to listen to her stories, but they don't want to read. So every night they make her tell them a story. And she must tell them. So she exhausts all the stories she knows. Then she starts making up stories. And making up stories, they will give her the theme. Today you must tell us a story about this. The other girl will say that. And both must be in one story. So if one wants a story about the tap, the other wants a story about a frog. So poor mother, the Sucheta, she has to imagine and think of a story in which there is a tap and there is a frog and what is going to happen. So she manages somehow, but towards the end of the story, something happens which gives us hope that these two children will start reading stories. All right. So I think we have 15 minutes. Shall we?
Yeah. Thank
So
you
I hope, yes, you will all enjoy these stories. I just told you about a few stories, but there are all these animals waiting between the pages of this, inside the pages here, waiting to be discovered by you, to be enjoyed by you, to be loved by you, to be laughed at by you. So I really hope you will like them. Thank you very much for listening.
So, Khairunisa, we have a few questions.
Yes.
I will ask you the questions on behalf of the children.
Yes,
Arav has the maximum number of questions, so I'm clubbing everything together.
One person has many questions.
Yes. So what? But they're common with Myra and Anaya. So what inspired you to get into writing, and why did you start writing in the first place? These are two different things, I think. Why did you start writing?
Okay.
And what inspired? No, maybe it's the same thing. What inspired you to write? Yeah.
No, it's more or less the same. Yeah, it's more or less the same.
Yeah.
Why did I start writing and what inspired me? I'll give you the answer as quickly as possible because actually it's a very long story. So I'll have to cut it really short. When you ask storytellers these kind of questions, you'll be stuck forever listening to them. So I'll just tell you very briefly that I never really wanted to become a writer. That was not my ambition. I love English. I love literature. I love reading and I love writing. But loving writing and wanting to become a writer are two different things. So one day it so happened when my son was small, we had Tinkle, we were subscribing to this magazine called Tinkle, and they were calling for entries, this competition, an all India competition for adult writers of children's fiction. So I decided suddenly, why not send an entry? And that story was Butterfingers, right? So when I decided to send an entry, then I started thinking, I must write, I love humor. I thought I must write a funny story. I thought I must write a cricket-based story, sports-based story. Very few sports-based stories around for children. So why not? I love cricket. I love football. I love athletics. I love badminton. I love sports. I read the newspaper back to front. So I thought, okay, I will write a cricket-based story because that's what I know best. And I thought I will put as my main character a Butterfingers, a boy whose nickname is Butterfingers, who is clumsy, and there will be occasion for a lot of fun if you have such a character. in the story. And the story went on to win a prize, and that is what started. So once that happened, then you can say the bug bit me slightly. Then I went on to write a little more, and I found that my stories were getting not just accepted, they were getting accolades, and I realized that it is fun to write. I started enjoying writing, and that is when Tinkle asked me whether I could create a regular character for their magazine. I brought back Butterfingers. Butterfingers became a huge success. Children could relate to Butterfingers. He's just like you and me. We are all clumsy people, right? So children like Butterfingers very much. And then when I had enough stories, I approached Penguin, and that is how the first book came out. And that was this book, House at Butterfingers, all right? The cricket-based novel. And that is the beginning of this story, and it has reached me here when I'm talking to you about these animal stories. All right, so that's it.
So I'm adding a question to that question, that in case there are some budding writers in the group, so I know you wrote probably later, probably not that early.
Much later, because it was not my ambition, just happened.
That's right. So is there an advice or tips you would like to give to the children who would like to become writers?
For those who want to, I always start with this. That is, if you have to become a good writer, you must be a good reader. Unless you are a good reader, unless you read books, unless it is your passion to read books, you will not become a good writer. Just because you can write a few sentences, just because you can be inspired, you can think up, you have an imagination, that's not enough. You need to have a foundation of good reading. So what I would like to tell children who want to write is, keep reading, because that will do many things. It will trigger your imagination. It will give you more ideas. Your language will improve. Your language is very important. You mustn't make mistakes when you write. And let me also tell you, writing is hard work. It's not easy. It's really hard work. And it's very pleasurable. You enjoy writing. You enjoy it when children tell you that they love your books. That is there. But the actual act of writing is hard work. So unless you're prepared for this kind of hard work, and you really have this passion for writing, you won't really make a good writer. You should want to write. You should want to improve. And I would also like to tell you to keep a notebook with you in which you jot down any ideas you might get. You can get ideas from anywhere. They can come at any time, from anywhere. Newspapers, your friend, a book, something that you listen to in the bus, whatever. Some interesting idea, jot it down. Later on, you can make it into a story, right? And I would also like you to keep writing. Write, and you'll be on the right path. Okay.
So, Khairunisa, why did you decide to write for children and not for adults? I know you have got tongue-in-cheek just now. That's a question somebody has asked, actually. Vedant has asked. Yeah.
That again is purely accidental, because the first story that I wrote was for children. And because I saw this competition thing, and therefore I sent this. So what happened was, I started writing. The next story was also for the same thing the next year, because the editor actually came to my house and she told me that I should send an entry for the next year. And that I thought was very good. Imagine having an editor coming to your house on the basis of one story. She happened to come to Trivandrum at that time. She's from Bombay. And so, because they liked the story very much, but they didn't give me the first prize. And that was the second prize that I got, whatever it is. So that was how I started. So because of that, you see how it happened. So I started writing for children. And then when Tinkle asked me again, it's for children. So it was not choice as much as I happened to write, and I found that it was easy for me to write. I can think like a child. It's possible. It is, when people accept what you have written, then it becomes, and you feel that maybe you're good at it. You're not bad at it, at least. So you write, and that's how I got stuck mostly in butter. For a long time, it was butter.
So will you write more books and then you will share with us?
We can't hear you, beta. You have to write it over there because the voice is not clear. Kaironisa, one question I have connected with the accepting is that it's not always easy to be accepted. You get a lot of rejections also, especially when we were in school and we thought we had written something nice, but a friend of ours,
Yes,
his article got
yes,
chosen for the magazine. So how does one deal with
yes.
rejection? And therefore, if you are rejected, should you give
I
up,
think
or what should one do? Yeah.
no, no. You should never give up because rejection should not lead to dejection. You have to keep on at it. There is this crime writer, John Creasy. I think he got some 750 rejection slips. 750 rejection slips. That was, I think he was in the 1930 thereabouts. He in the 20th century actually he was, but he felt he is good. He did not allow this to stop him from writing. He was not demoralized by all the rejection slips that he got, and he kept on at it and on at it, and then he went on to publish some 500 odd novels. He was one of those who started the British Crime Writers Association. So 700 rejection slips, not one and two, and he goes on. So I think you should not give up. But something else you could do is, if you get a rejection, give whatever you have submitted to somebody else and ask them to read it and see if there is anything wrong with it. Look for more advice, because we should try to improve ourselves. There must be some reason why something was rejected. Either the story was very mundane, or the language wasn't good, or it was not interesting enough. No, there could be many reasons. So you have to find out what the reason is, instead of just throwing in the towel and saying, I'm not going to write. I have got this rejection. So I seriously think you should actually get strengthened by the rejections. I have been rejected, all right. So it is a challenge for me. I must see that my next is accepted. If that is also rejected, never mind. I'll keep on at it because I want to write. Only if you want to write. If you don't want to write, then there is no problem. But if you really want to write, you have to be at it. Don't worry.
Saisha and Siddhant both have asked similar questions. Who's your favorite writer and which is your favorite story?
Which is my favorite story. For a favorite writer, I will tell you, P.G. Woodhouse. There is no doubt about that. He is my all-time favorite. Discovered him in the 8th standard, still reading him because I must have a P.G. Woodhouse on my dining table. All right, I don't choke over my food, but I really do need to read Woodhouse. Is my staple diet. But which story are you asking from this book, or are you asking which is my favorite book?
No,
Siddhant?
I didn't.
sorry
Siddhant,
for the interruption.
from this collection. Okay.
My question was, who was your favorite writer when you were young, and what inspired you to write this specific
To write
this book?
this book. Okay. This book I've written because I didn't want to write only about Butterfingers. I wanted to write something different, and I really like animals. So of course, from a distance, I'm not the kind of person who will jump on a dog or a cat and go cooing over it, because I did not grow up in a family where there were pets at home. Unless that happens, you have this reservation about pets. I like them. The greater the distance, the greater my love. So that is, but I care for it. I believe you must, especially these tiny, tiny creatures, these pests that we call them. I wanted to give them an identity. I wanted to give them a place, at least inside my book. Give them a life, give them something. That is how I started writing these animal stories, and I really enjoyed writing them. The Lizard of Oz was there. I really enjoyed that. And then there's this. So you were asking me which is my favorite story. A little difficult to say which is my favorite story. I like several of them. I like Chip and Monk very much because it's a totally fun story. I like.
Ma'am, who was your writer when you were? Who was your favorite writer when you were? Young?
That I already told you. It is P.G. Woodhouse. When I was young, when I am middle-aged, old, everything, it is P.G. Woodhouse. So I like a lot of
Answer you.
writers.
So will you write more books and then you will share with us in this same link only?
When I write more books,
When you will write more books, then you will share with us
of
that
course, I
book.
will share with you. Of course, I will share, and your Swati ma'am will see that all this is shared because she's doing such a great service with Bukaru Lit House, with the Bukaru Literature Festivals. They are doing so much for reading and for books. It is phenomenal, the debt we owe people like Swati and Venki and all those who have bookstores and who have these festivals. So hats off.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, yes.
Do
What
you
is
write
this?
about snakes? Do you write
Snakes.
stories about snakes?
Yes, I have written a story about a snake.
Okay.
In The Lizard of Oz, there is a story, The Snake in the Grass. All right?
Okay.
It's a fun story. You must read it. It will
Okay.
also, it's full of metaphors and similes and so on. If you like
Okay.
literature, you will like it, English language.
Okay.
Um, somebody is asking, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you sit down to write?
When I sit down to write, see, sometimes I already know what I need to write. See, right now I'm writing the next Butterfingers novel. It is called Smash It Butterfingers. It is a badminton-based novel. So when I'm sitting down, I know that this is the next chapter. I have written already so much and so on. But if it isn't anything specific, where there is what you say, something like a deadline, then I just write about, see, I contribute stories to this magazine called Dimdima, a Mumbai-based magazine called Dimdima, a lovely magazine actually, which has a lot of everything. And many of these stories appeared in that. So when I think of anything unusual, or when I have an idea about a creature, like the other day I thought of an earthworm. And I thought, why not write a story about an earthworm? Nobody thinks of an earthworm. It's a creature that is almost not even to be seen these days because we don't see Earth. Earth is missing now. So I thought I should bring them back to literary life at least. So I've been thinking of a story. So this is how I do that. Sometimes I sit with a title. Good title strikes my mind, like The Lizard of Oz. I didn't have the story. I had only the title because I thought it was a nice, neat title to do with a lizard, the story of a lizard of Oz. And I thought of the story. So it can work in many ways.
So somebody's reminding us that time is up. So
Yes.
Kairunisa, that was fabulous and wonderful. And you actually told us the stories, but not told us the stories also. We're all
That was
curious
the
to
whole
know
idea,
how-
right?
Yes,
I want them all to read and enjoy the stories. So
absolutely.
I just
Absolutely.
Ma'am?
So a book is okay. Yeah, a book is a very, very tough thing to do. And if you give away all the stories, then what's the point? The book should also go to the child's house. And like you said, that you didn't have too many pets and animals around you, but one thing I can almost see, you had a lot of books around you when you were growing
of
up,
course,
and
lots.
that's like that's a wonderful thing. Yes, who's trying to say something? Please say.
Ma'am, this is Veda. My video isn't working, so I can't show you myself. But I
Okay.
had a question that when you write a story, like, do you start with the plot, then you make the story arc, and then the first draft, then the edited first draft, and then the second draft? Do you do it like that?
Yes, everybody, when you write a story, the first draft is the first is what happens. So when you think of a story, you think of a plot. It's very important that you have a plot. Some people start with a character and build a story around a particular kind of character. But every story must have a good plot. Very important. Whatever it is, you must have a good storyline. Then you get strong characters to take the story across. All right. So these are all intertwined, actually. That you must have a good story and good characters, and one must lead to the other. The way a character behaves must lead to something happening. All right. Plot. That is a plot. Then what happens leads to the character changing. That is character. So character and plot go hand in hand. You have to think of both at the same time and make it interesting, crisp, bring some dialogue into it. And then it will all come out, you will never be happy with what you have first written. That's why you have a first draft, then you go to the second draft, and then you go to third draft, and maybe when you do submit, they might reject. So don't feel bad. You can always revise your story and send it again, and you will be accepted. All right. So I wish you all the best, all of you who want to write, and all of you lovely people who are reading, keep reading.
Yes.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Question somebody is asking is she's a 10-year-old. Vishaka is a 10-year-old and was wondering if
you,
you can start on PG Woodhouse. I personally am doubtful, but what do you say? Too
What
early.
you want to read
Too
PG
early for
Woodhouse?
PG Woodhouse, yeah.
I really don't know. Maybe a little difficult because
Yeah.
yes, I think not for the present generation may not find it that easy to understand PG Woodhouse. There's a lot of literary content in PG Woodhouse. So I really don't know. But he has written some school stories. Maybe they could try those stories.
That's
There are
right.
some school stories that he has written. You know, there's the prefect's uncle, very funny story. So you go for those stories, all right? He has written some school stories. You try those, and if you like them, then you go to the stories that he's written for slightly older people. Yeah.
Right then. Okay, so friends, we will say bye to Karunisa now, and hopefully you will buy the books from any link that you can. If you buy from Eureka, well and good. If you are in around GK2 near South Delhi, you can come over to the bookstore also, or you can buy from any other link if you wish to. But do buy the book, because this is a labor of love, and authors always like it when the book reaches the reader's hands. This was just a sneak preview. The whole story will be in the book, and I'm sure you enjoyed what you heard. So reading the book will be an even bigger treat. So thank you all, and thank you, Kaironisa, for giving us the
Thank
time.
you.
We'll see you
Yes,
again
thank
soon.
you.
All the best, and many more
Thank
books
you.
to you.
Thank you
and
very much.
bye-bye.
Thank you
ma'am.
very much. Thank you. And I saw quite a few
Bye,
people
ma'am.
reading Sherlock Holmes.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye,
Bye,
bye.
ma'am.
Thank you. And bye, B-U-Y, B-U-Y, B-Y-E, B-Y-E.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye,
Bye,
ma'am.
Bye.
ma'am.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye, ma'am.
bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, 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 bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Yes, bye.